Welcome. Now it's time to build a Tic Tac Toe game, and first I'm gonna go up here. I'll import tkinter as tk. Then I'm gonna from tkinter import message box. First I'm gonna initialize the main application window. So I'm gonna type here root equals to tk dot tk. Then I'm gonna type root dot title, and it's gonna have the title Tic Tac Toe. Next, I'm gonna create some variables to track the current player and the game state. So I'm gonna type current player equals to x. Then I'm gonna create a 3x3 grid to represent the game board. Initially it's gonna be empty. So I'm gonna type here, I'm gonna put here game underscore board equals to double square brackets, gonna be an empty list, and I'll type for underscore in range 3 and for underscore in range 3. So this is gonna create a 3x3 grid. Next, we're gonna define a function. So def check underscore winner, and we're gonna check each row for a winning combination. So I'm gonna type for I in range 3. I'm gonna type if game board at position I and 0 equals game board at position I and 1, and if it's equal to game board at position I and 2, and it's not equal to, so it's not equal to empty, we're gonna return game board I and 0. We're gonna check now the column for a winning combination. So I'm gonna type if game board at position 0 and I equals game board at position 1 and y, and it's equal to game board at position 2 and I, and it's not equal to, it's not empty. Then we're gonna return, return game board 0 and y. So it's gonna return either the winner, which is gonna be x or 0. Now let's push this down. I'll go down here, I'll go here. Next, we're gonna check for the main diagonal for a winner. So I'm gonna type if game board 0 and 0 equals game board 1 and 1, and game board equals 2 and 2, and it's not equal to empty. I'm gonna put colon return game board at 0 and 0. So this is going to be the winner, X or O. Next, let's check for the secondary diagonal for a winner. So I'm gonna type if game board at 0 and 2 equals game board at 1 and 1, so we're checking the other diagonal, and it's gonna be equal to game board at 2 and 0, and should not be equal to empty. Then I'm gonna return game board 0 and 2, and this is gonna be X or O. Now you need to check for a tie and no empty space left and no winner. So we're gonna type, I'm gonna go down here and I'll type for row in game board if empty in row. If there is still an empty cell, the game is ongoing, so I'm gonna return none. Else I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna return tie. So if no empty cells and no winner, that means that there is a tie. Next, we are going to define a function. So I'm going to type def button click. We're going to have two parameters, row and column. I'm going to type global current player. I'm going to use the global variable for the current player. And first we need to check if the cell is empty before allowing a move. So I'm going to type here if game board row column equals empty. So if it's empty, I'm gonna update the game board with the current player symbol. So I'm gonna type game board row column is gonna be equal to current player. Then I'm gonna update the button text and disable it to prevent further clicks. So I'm gonna type buttons. Alright, so I'm gonna type buttons row column dot config, and I will put text equals to current player, and state is gonna be equal to tk dot disabled. Then I'll go down here and I'll type winner in lowercase letter, winner equals to check winner, and I'll type if winner, so if that is true, I'm gonna type again if winner equals tie, then I'm gonna type message box dot show info tic tac toe and gonna put a comma here. It's a tie. So it's gonna show a tie message. Else message box dot show info tic tac toe comma f should be f player square curly braces winner wins. Then I'll go down here and outside of the else I'm gonna type reset. I'm gonna create that function game, and here I'm gonna put an else current player equals to O. And I'm gonna put here if current player equals x, else x. I don't know, so it should be a 0 or a O here. Let's put an O. Let's put 0 because it's tic-tac-toe. Okay. Now let's go here at this level of indentation. So let's go back. Let's define another function. Define reset. So we're gonna create that function game. No parameters. I'll type global current player game board. Use the global variable to reset the game. So I'm gonna put here current player equals to x. Then I'm gonna clear the game board. So I'm gonna type game board. So we're gonna clear the game board equals to double square brackets, an empty string, and I will type for underscore in range 3, and outside of this I'm gonna type again for underscore in range 3. That is gonna reset the game board, and also gonna reset all buttons. So I'm gonna type here for I in range 3, for J in range 3, buttons I J dot config text gonna be equal to empty, state is gonna be equal to tk dot disabled. Then I'll go down here and outside this function I'm gonna type, so outside the reset game I'm gonna type buttons equals to, and I will put here this, and I'll type none for underscore in range 3 for underscore in range 3 so this is gonna create a 2D list to store the button widgets. We have, let's click reformat file, and I'll go down here, I'll type for I in range 3, gonna loop through the rows, for j in range also 3, gonna loop through columns, so loop through rows and loop, so the first loop is looping through rows, and the second loop with the j is gonna loop through columns. Gonna be range 3 colon, and here I'm gonna create a button for each cell in the grid. So I'm gonna type here buttons ij equals tk dot button, gonna pass root, text is gonna be equal to an empty column, font is gonna be Arial, it's gonna have the size 20, width of 5 and height of 2. And here I'm gonna put a comma, I'll go to the next line, I'll type command, I'm gonna use a lambda function, row is gonna be equal to I, call is gonna be equal to j, colon, button underscore click, row, column. So this is gonna assign a command for a click event. Next, we have some underlines here. Next, I'm gonna go down here and I'll type here buttons I j dot grid row is gonna be equal to I, and column is gonna be equal to j. Should be. Now I'm gonna go here and I'll type root dot main loop, and that is gonna start the main loop and run the application. Alright, so I fixed all the errors. I forgot to put a comma here, I misspelled the column name. Now if I run this, we have our grid. Let's click X, let's click here, we have 0, let's click here, we have X, let's click here, we have 0, X, 0, X, X, and it says player 0 wins, but that yes, it wins because it's diagonally he wins. Alright, so this is our discussion about this game. You can implement it to make it more, you can use, I think you can use some AI to generate the player moves, so it will be more realistic. Alright, I'm gonna end this video here and I'll see you in the next video. I hope that you got a lot from this video.